Dr. Kate Anderson's coffee had gone cold hours ago, but she barely noticed as her eyes remained fixed on the quantum spectrometer's readout. This was her third consecutive night shift at NASA's Deep Space Communication Lab, and something about the background radiation patterns kept nagging at her consciousness. Most of her colleagues had written off the subtle variations as typical cosmic noise, but 15 years of studying quantum linguistics had taught her that the universe rarely created perfect patterns by accident. "Hey Marcus, can you run a Fibonacci sequence analysis on grid 7? She called out to her research assistant, who was nodding off in front of another terminal. Marcus Weber jolted awake, adjusting his thick-rimmed glasses. "Again? That's the third time tonight. Dr. A. The computer's just going to show." He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes widening as new data scrolled across his screen. "Wait. That's not random at all." Kate was already moving to his station, her exhaustion forgotten. The pattern was there, clear as day once you knew what to look for. A perfectly structured sequence of quantum state variations, too precise to be natural. Her hands trembled slightly as she initiated a broader spectrum analysis. "Get Dr. Phillips down here," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "And wake up the quantum computing team. All of them." Within an hour, the lab was buzzing with activity. Dr. Thomas Phillips, the program director, stood behind Kate as she explained her findings to the hastily assembled team. The massive wall screen displayed a complex visualization of the signal's quantum structure. "It's not just encoded information," Kate explained, highlighting various patterns in the data. "These are quantum state transitions that mirror how our own quantum computers process complex calculations. Whatever sent this, they think like we do. You're saying it's artificial?" Phillips leaned forward, his usual skepticism wavering. "Extraterrestrial." "I'm saying it's a cry for help," Kate replied, pulling up a new set of calculations. "These patterns, they're degrading in a specific way, like a voice getting more desperate with each repetition. And based on the signal strength and decay, I'd estimate it's been repeating for about 3 months." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe, but no one had expected first contact to come quite like this. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of calculations, debates, and breakthroughs. Kate's team worked alongside the quantum computing division, using Earth's most advanced AI systems to decode the alien mathematics. The message, when they finally understood it, was both simple and heartbreaking. "They call themselves the Xylax," Kate explained to the Emergency UN Council, assembled via holographic conference. "They're a crystalline-based species, far more advanced than us in many ways. But their star is dying, centuries ahead of their predictions. The radiation signature is unlike anything they've encountered before. They've reached out to multiple civilizations, but what, Dr. Anderson?" The UN Secretary General leaned forward in her virtual space. "But they're running out of time. The other spacefaring races they've contacted, they're talking about rescue missions that would take decades to organize. The Xylax don't have decades. Based on their data, they have months, maybe a year at most." The Secretary General's hologram exchanged worried looks with her colleagues. "And why bring this to us? Earth isn't even a spacefaring civilization by galactic standards. What could we possibly do?" Kate took a deep breath. "Because we're the only ones crazy enough to try the impossible. The Xylax sent this signal to everyone they could reach, but we're the first ones to decode it this quickly. They're quantum-based communication methods. They're surprisingly similar to systems we've been developing. We understand them in ways the other races don't." "Are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe, just maybe, being the new kids in the galaxy gives us an advantage. We're not bound by centuries of established space travel doctrine. We can think outside the box." Kate paused, letting her words sink in. "And right now, thinking outside the box might be the only thing that can save an entire civilization." The silence that followed was deafening. Humanity's first contact with alien life, and it came with a ticking clock. The next few months would prove whether Earth deserved its place among the stars. Dr. James Cooper stood before the hastily assembled Global Science Summit in Geneva, his military posture unchanged despite 3 days without sleep. The holographic displays behind him showed what most of the scientific community considered impossible: a theoretical framework for stable wormhole creation. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice carrying the same authority that had once commanded Marine units, "while our alien neighbors debate the logistics of conventional rescue missions, we're going to do what humanity does best: change the rules of the game entirely." A murmur of skepticism rippled through the audience. Dr. Rachel Martinez, renowned for her work on wormhole theory at CERN, raised her hand. "With all due respect, Dr. Cooper, you're talking about compressing centuries of theoretical physics into months. The energy requirements alone would be impossible using conventional methods," Cooper interrupted, toggling to the next display. "That's why we're not going to use conventional methods. Dr. Martinez, your own work on quantum tunneling laid the groundwork for this. We're just taking it in a direction nobody expected." He pulled up a simulation showing dark matter streams interacting with quantum fields. 3 months ago, we discovered that dark matter responds to quantum manipulation in ways we never imagined. That Xylax signal helped us confirm it. Their crystalline technology operates on principles that mirror our latest quantum computing breakthroughs. The room erupted in overlapping questions until the summit director called for order. Cooper waited, then continued with a slight smile. "I know how it sounds, but think about humanity's history. Every major breakthrough we've ever had came when we stopped following the established playbook." Dr. Martinez stood up, her eyes fixed on the simulation. "You're proposing to use Earth's dark matter field as a quantum anchor point. That's insane." She paused, then smiled. "But it might actually work." "The Xylax themselves proved it's possible," Cooper explained, bringing up their decoded signal data. "Their quantum communication method essentially creates micro-wormholes at the subatomic level. We're just scaling it up to something millions of times larger," someone objected from the back. "Exactly." Cooper's eyes lit up with the intensity that had made him legendary in both military and scientific circles. "And we already have the perfect testing ground. The old particle accelerator complex in Colorado. Underground, naturally shielded, and already equipped with half the technology we need." The next hour dissolved into technical discussions, but Cooper could see the shift in the room. Scientists who had arrived ready to dismiss his theories were now leaning forward, building on each other's ideas. This was humanity at its finest, taking an impossible problem and transforming it into a challenge to be overcome. Later that evening, Cooper found Martinez waiting outside his office. "Your calculations for the dark matter containment field," she said without preamble. "They're brilliant, but they're missing something crucial." Cooper gestured her inside, where holographic models filled the air. "I know. The quantum stability matrix keeps collapsing in simulations. We can create the bridge, but maintaining it will require something we haven't thought of yet." Martinez finished. She walked through the holograms, her mind already racing with possibilities. "But that's why this might actually work. We're not bound by centuries of established theory like the other spacefaring races. We're willing to try things they'd never consider." Cooper nodded, pulling up the latest data from the Xylax signal. They've already received responses from 3 other advanced civilizations. All of them proposed conventional evacuation plans that would take 20 to 30 years to implement. "The Xylax don't have 30 years, Martinez said softly. "They'd barely have months." She turned to Cooper, her expression determined. "When do we start?" "Now." Cooper brought up the schematics for the Colorado facility. "The president's signing the executive order tonight. Full access to any resources we need. They're calling it Project Lightbridge." Martinez studied the plans, already making mental calculations. "It's fitting. We're either about to make history or create the world's most expensive failure. That's another thing humanity's good at, Cooper said with a grim smile. We learn from our failures faster than anyone else. We don't have a choice this time. An entire civilization is betting their lives on human ingenuity. Then let's prove them right. Martins pulled up a chair and began working on the equations. The real work was just beginning. Lieutenant Emma Hayes stared at the holographic simulation for the 15th time that night, her prosthetic right hand absently tapping against the console. Something wasn't adding up. The quantum calculations were perfect. Both Cooper and Martinez had verified them independently. But the real-world tests kept failing spectacularly. Run it again, she ordered the AI system. But this time, isolate the magnetic field variables. You should be sleeping. Cooper's voice came from behind her. He looked as exhausted as she felt, his uniform wrinkled from another marathon session in the control room. Can't sleep when we're missing something obvious. Hayes manipulated the hologram with practiced gestures. Look at this. Every time we try to stabilize the quantum tunnel, it's like something's pulling it off axis, but only in the actual tests, never in the simulations. Cooper leaned in, frowning. We've checked every variable. Gravitational interference, quantum fluctuations, dark matter density. But what if we're thinking about it wrong? Hayes stepped back, her pilot's instincts kicking in. When I was flying experimental aircraft, we'd sometimes get unexpected turbulence that never showed up in wind tunnel tests. Turned out it was the Earth's magnetic field interacting with our new alloys in ways the computers hadn't predicted. Martinez burst into the lab, her tablet displaying new data from the morning's failed test. The containment field just collapsed again. We're missing something fundamental. She stopped, seeing Hayes' expression. You have that look. What if we're not fighting the planet's magnetic field hard enough? Hayes pulled up a global magnetosphere map. We've been trying to shield against it, but what if we should be using it instead? Like surfing a wave instead of trying to build a wall against it. Cooper's eyes widened. That Xylax. Their signal. It rides quantum waves through space. We assumed it was just their communication method, but what if it's more than that? The next 12 hours were a blur of new calculations and hurried modifications to their testing equipment. Hayes worked alongside the engineering team, her experience with experimental aircraft proving invaluable as they reconfigured the quantum stabilizers. Ready for test sequence 47B, Hayes announced from the control room. The underground facility hummed with power as the modified systems came online. Initiating quantum tunnel in 3, 2, 1. The holographic displays erupted with data as energy coursed through the test chamber. Where previous attempts had shown chaotic fluctuations, this time the quantum fields danced in perfect harmony with the Earth's natural magnetic resonance. It's working, Martins whispered, then louder. It's actually working. The tunnel is stable at the quantum level. Not just stable, Cooper added, studying the readings. It's self-reinforcing. The magnetic field is actually strengthening the quantum containment matrix. He turned to Hayes. How did you see it? Hayes shrugged, but her eyes shone with excitement. Sometimes you need someone who's crashed enough experimental aircraft to recognize when you're fighting nature instead of working with it. The celebration was cut short by an urgent message from Dr. Anderson at the communication center. Her hologram appeared in the control room, her expression tense. We've got a problem. The Galactic Council just announced they're sending observers to evaluate our project. They don't think we can do it, Cooper growled. They want to document our failure. No, Hayes corrected, still watching the successful test readings. They're scared we might succeed. 3 months of human innovation is about to accomplish what they claimed would take decades. We're not just saving the Xylax. We're changing the balance of power in the galaxy. Martinez nodded grimly. Then we better make sure this works. Emma, how soon can we scale up to full size? Give me 48 hours to modify the main facility. We'll need to recalibrate every quantum stabilizer to work with the magnetic field. But, Hayes grinned, I think humanity is about to show the galaxy how we handle impossible deadlines. As the team dispersed to begin the modifications, Cooper caught Hayes' arm. Good work, Lieutenant. Sometimes it takes a pilot's instincts to solve a physicist's problem. That's humanity's secret weapon, isn't it? Hayes replied. We don't just think outside the box. We forget the box exists in the first place. Dr. Kate Anderson sat cross-legged in the quantum communication chamber, surrounded by crystalline interfaces that mimicked Xylax technology. The room hummed with an ethereal resonance as billions of quantum states shifted in precise patterns. After 3 weeks of preparation, they were ready for their first direct communication attempt. Quantum field stabilized. Marcus called from his station. Connection strength at 97%. That's our best yet. Kate closed her eyes, letting her consciousness sync with the quantum interface. They discovered that the Xylax communicated through what could only be described as shared consciousness states, transmitted via quantum entanglement. It was beautiful, elegant, and completely different from anything humanity had ever attempted. The first contact was like diving into an ocean of light. We receive you, Earth consciousness. The thought wasn't in English or any human language, but rather a direct understanding that bloomed in Kate's mind. You have decoded our patterns. You have understood our need. We have, Kate replied, her words converting to quantum states. We're preparing a rescue operation, but we need more data about your solar system, your people. The Xylax consciousness she interfaced with seemed to pulse with surprise. So quick. Others debate while our star dies. You act. Why? Because it's who we are. We see someone in trouble. We help. Kate smiled, knowing that Xylax would sense her emotional state through the quantum link. I'm going to connect you with our project leaders now. Cooper and Martinez entered the chamber as Cave established a three-way quantum link. The Xylax consciousness expanded, becoming more complex, more curious. Your minds, so chaotic yet harmonious, like a storm that makes patterns in its randomness. The alien consciousness paused. You are attempting something the others claim impossible. Yeah, we get that a lot, Cooper replied with a hint of pride. We need detailed readings of your star's decay pattern and the exact quantum signature of your crystalline matrices. We think we can create a stable passage, but we need to tune it precisely to your physical structure. The data began flowing immediately, complex stellar calculations and crystalline quantum states flooding their systems. Martinez gasped as she processed the information through her own interface. Their star, she whispered. The decay rate is accelerating. We got less time than we thought. Indeed, that Xylax consciousness rippled with what Kate recognized as grief. Many of our people have already entered dormant states to preserve energy. The others speak of rescue fleets, of careful planning. But we will not survive their caution. Hayes, monitoring from the engineering station, suddenly straightened. These crystalline patterns, they're not just their biology. They're their technology too. Their entire civilization is a quantum matrix. That's why you reached out to everyone, Kate realized. You weren't just asking for help. You were looking for a civilization that could understand your true nature. Yes, the alien consciousness seemed to brighten. The others see us as simple crystal beings. They would transport us like cargo, not understanding that our consciousness exists in quantum states. But you built quantum computers that think like we do. You understand that we are more than our physical forms. That's why conventional evacuation wouldn't work, Cooper said, excitement building in his voice. A normal spacecraft would disrupt their quantum coherence, but our wormhole bridge, it would preserve their quantum states during transit, Martinez finished. Because we're not just moving matter through space, we're creating a quantum tunnel that maintains consciousness integrity. The Xylax consciousness pulsed with what felt like hope. You solved in days what the others could not grasp in cycles. Perhaps youth brings wisdom the ages cannot match. A warning light flashed on Hayes' console. "We got company. 3 alien observer ships just entered orbit. The Galactic Council's representatives are here. They come to watch you fail," that Xylax observed. "They believe your species too young, too reckless to succeed." Kate smiled, feeling the combined determination of her team through the quantum link. "Then let's show them what human recklessness can accomplish when we're racing against time to save lives." That Xylax consciousness resonated with something that felt remarkably like laughter. "We begin to understand why the others fear your potential. You do not know what you cannot do, so you do it anyway." "Welcome to humanity," Cooper replied, "where impossible just means no one's tried hard enough yet." Dr. Kate Anderson sat cross-legged in the quantum communication chamber, surrounded by crystalline interfaces that mimicked Xylax technology. The room hummed with an ethereal resonance as billions of quantum states shifted in precise patterns. After 3 weeks of preparation, they were ready for their first direct communication attempt. Quantum field stabilized. Marcus called from his station. "Connection strength at 97%. That's our best yet." Kate closed her eyes, letting her consciousness sync with the quantum interface. They discovered that the Xylax communicated through what could only be described as shared consciousness states, transmitted via quantum entanglement. It was beautiful, elegant, and completely different from anything humanity had ever attempted. The first contact was like diving into an ocean of light. "We receive you, Earth consciousness." The thought wasn't in English or any human language, but rather a direct understanding that bloomed in Kate's mind. "You have decoded our patterns. You have understood our need." "We have," Kate replied, her words converting to quantum states. "We're preparing a rescue operation, but we need more data about your solar system, your people." The Xylax consciousness she interfaced with seemed to pulse with surprise. "So quick. Others debate while our star dies. You act. Why?" "Because it's who we are. We see someone in trouble, we help." Kate smiled, knowing that Xylax would sense her emotional state through the quantum link. "I'm going to connect you with our project leaders now." Cooper and Martinez entered the chamber as Kate established a 3-way quantum link. The Xylax consciousness expanded, becoming more complex, more curious. "Your minds, so chaotic, yet harmonious. Like a storm that makes patterns in its randomness." The alien consciousness paused. "You're attempting something the others claim impossible." "Yeah, we get that a lot," Cooper replied with a hint of pride. "We need detailed readings of your star's decay pattern and the exact quantum signature of your crystalline matrices. We think we can create a stable passage, but we need to tune it precisely to your physical structure." The data began flowing immediately, complex stellar calculations and crystalline quantum states flooding their systems. Martinez gasped as she processed the information through her own interface. "Their star," she whispered. "The decay rate is accelerating. We've got less time than we thought." Indeed, that Xylax consciousness rippled with what Kate recognized as grief. "Many of our people have already entered dormant states to preserve energy. The others speak of rescue fleets, of careful planning. But we will not survive their caution." Hayes, monitoring from the engineering station, suddenly straightened. "These crystalline patterns, they're not just their biology, they're their technology too. Their entire civilization is a quantum matrix." "That's why you reached out to everyone," Kate realized. "You weren't just asking for help. You were looking for a civilization that could understand your true nature." "Yes." The alien consciousness seemed to brighten. "The others see us as simple crystal beings. They would transport us like cargo, not understanding that our consciousness exists in quantum states. But you built quantum computers that think like we do. You understand that we are more than our physical forms. That's why conventional evacuation wouldn't work," Cooper said, excitement building in his voice. "A normal spacecraft would disrupt their quantum coherence, but our wormhole bridge, it would preserve their quantum states during transit. Martine, it's finished. Because we're not just moving matter through space, we're creating a quantum tunnel that maintains consciousness integrity. That Xylax consciousness pulsed with what felt like hope. You solved in days what the others could not grasp in cycles. Perhaps youth brings wisdom the ages cannot match. A warning light flashed on Hayes' console. We've got company. 3 alien observer ships just entered orbit. The Galactic Council's representatives are here. They come to watch you fail, the Xylax observed. They believe your species too young, too reckless to succeed. Kate smiled, feeling the combined determination of her team through the quantum link. Then let's show them what human recklessness can accomplish when we're racing against time to save lives. That Xylax consciousness resonated with something that felt remarkably like laughter. We begin to understand why the others fear your potential. You do not know what you cannot do, so you do it anyway. Welcome to humanity, Cooper replied, where impossible just means no one's tried hard enough yet. Kate Anderson's quantum link with the Xylax consciousness flared with sudden panic. The star, she gasped, ripping off her interface headset. Cooper, the core collapse is accelerating. The control room erupted into action. Through the massive observation windows, they could see the first evacuation ships already moving toward the bridge, their hulls gleaming with crystalline reinforcement. New data coming in, Martines announced, her face pale as she read the calculations. The stellar core. It's not just collapsing, it's fragmenting. The radiation patterns are completely unpredictable. Cooper leaned over her station, his expression grim. How long? Days, not weeks. And she hesitated. The radiation spikes are interfering with the Xylax quantum matrices. Their consciousness patterns are destabilizing. Hayes limped to her station, her newly repaired prosthetic arm still running diagnostics. The bridge can't handle this many ships at once. The quantum field is already showing strain from the radiation. We are losing cohesion. That Xylax consciousness echoed through Kate's hastily replaced headset. Many of our young ones cannot maintain stable patterns. The radiation, it fragments our thoughts. Show me the pattern degradation, Cooper demanded. Hayes pulled up a holographic display of the Xylax quantum signatures. The usually pristine crystalline structures were showing fractures, entropy creeping in at the edges. Their consciousness exists as quantum states, Kate explained, her voice tight with urgency. This radiation isn't just killing them, it's erasing who they are. Martinez suddenly straightened. The electromagnetic shielding. If we modify the evacuation ship's shields to match the frequency of their quantum patterns, we'd be creating quantum safe zones, Hayes finished. But we'd need to reconfigure every ship's shield matrix. That would take days we don't have. Unless, Cooper turned to the alien observers, who had been watching with increasing concern. Your ships, they have quantum manipulation capabilities we haven't developed yet. The Nexus representative stepped forward. Interfering would violate Council protocols regarding primitive. Oh, shut up about protocols. Hayes snapped, her prosthetic hand clenching. There are children dying over there. Actual children, their patterns fragmenting while you quote regulations. The chamber fell silent. Then, from the back, a different alien voice spoke. The Meridian Collective will assist. The insectoid observer moved forward. Our ships carry quantum harmonizers. With your bridge design, we could create stable evacuation corridors. That would violate. The Nexus representative began. Send the coordinates. The Meridian observer interrupted. Some rules are meant to be broken, especially by those too young to know better. There was something like amusement in its multifaceted eyes. The next hours were a blur of desperate activity. Hayes and Cooper worked with the Meridian engineers, integrating their quantum technology with the human evacuation protocols. Kate maintained constant contact with the Xylax, helping them prioritize the most vulnerable for immediate evacuation. First wave approaching the bridge, Hayes announced. The observation screens showed a line of ships, their hulls now glowing with Meridian quantum shields. Radiation levels are still climbing. Bridge integrity at 87% and holding, Martins reported. Quantum harmonics are. Wait. Her screens flashed warning signals. The radiation is mutating. The shield's errant. A scream cut through the quantum link as a young Xylax consciousness began to fragment. Kate grabbed her head in shared pain. Pattern collapse. Hayes shouted. The quantum field is destabilizing. Cooper made a split-second decision. Divert power from the secondary containment grid. We'll hold the bridge manually if we have to. That'll overload the whole system, Hayes warned. We could lose everything. If we don't try, we'll definitely lose them. Cooper's hands flew over the controls. Martinez, calculate a new quantum frequency. Hayes, prepare for emergency stabilization. Kate, he met her eyes. Tell them to hold on. Tell them humanity isn't giving up. Through her tears of pain and effort, Kate sent the message. The response came back immediately, carrying the weight of an entire civilization's trust. We believe in you. Even if we fade, we will remember. Humanity tried when others would not. Not good enough, Cooper growled, initiating the power transfer. We're not here to be remembered. We're here to save lives. Now let's show the galaxy what humanity does in a crisis. Quantum surge in 3, 2, 1. Hayes' prosthetic fingers danced across her console, orchestrating the most ambitious evacuation in human history. The wormhole bridge pulsed with energy as another wave of ships entered the quantum corridor. Pattern stability holding at 72%. Martinez called out, her voice hoarse from hours of constant updates. The Meridian shields are adapting to the radiation mutations. Through her quantum link, Kate felt the fear and hope of thousands of Xylax consciousness patterns. Each ship carried not just crystalline bodies, but entire networks of interconnected minds, families bound together by quantum bonds stronger than blood. The young ones are safely contained, that Xylax elder consciousness reported. But our primary matrix core is becoming unstable. Without it, we lose our ancestral memories, our cultural identity. Cooper looked up from his calculations. The matrix core. How big are we talking about? It contains the accumulated knowledge of 50,000 years. The crystalline structure alone masses more than your largest ships. We can't generate a field that size. Martins protested. The power requirements. Yes, we can. Hayes straightened, her eyes bright with the same look she'd had when she'd solved the magnetic field problem. The quantum fluctuations we've been fighting. They're not random. They're harmonics, like music. If we time the ship's entry exactly right. Cooper caught on immediately. We surf the quantum waves, just like before. But this time, we use the fluctuations themselves to amplify the field. Hayes was already reprogramming the bridge controls. Kate, we need the exact quantum frequency of the matrix core. The data flowed through the link, complex beyond normal human comprehension. But humanity had grown beyond normal limits weeks ago. This is insane, the Nexus observer protested. The energy backlash alone. We'll probably fry every system we have. Hayes finished. Good thing I've got spare parts. She wiggled her prosthetic fingers with a grim smile. The next 20 minutes were a symphony of precision timing. Ships carrying millions of Xylax crossed the bridge in perfectly orchestrated waves, each transit strengthening the quantum field for what was to come. Matrix core is moving into position, Martins announced. But the star, gods, the radiation levels. Through the observation windows, they could see the Xylax sun writhing, its surface torn by forces that defied conventional physics. The matrix core, a massive crystalline structure that shimmered with accumulated knowledge, began its approach to the bridge. Field harmonics at maximum. Hayes shouted over the sound of overloading systems. We need more power. Rerouting from life support. Cooper decided. We can breathe later. The bridge entrance flared with impossible light as the matrix core approached. Warning signals screamed across every console as the facility's systems redlined. The field's collapsing. Martinez's fingers flew across her controls. We're losing coherence. Not yet, we're not. Cooper moved to the primary interface. Hayes, synchronize your prosthetic's quantum processors with the main computer. Kate, we need the Xylax to send their consciousness patterns through your link. Everyone else, clear the room. Cooper, what are you? Hayes began. We're going to create one massive quantum processor. Human, machine, and Xylax consciousness working together. He inserted his hands into the neural interface. On my mark. The universe seemed to hold its breath. Then everything happened at once. Hayes jacked her prosthetic into the system. Kate's quantum link flooded with Xylax consciousness patterns, and Cooper initiated the final sequence. The bridge exploded with energy as the matrix core entered, its vast crystalline structure singing with the accumulated knowledge of ages. Field stability critical. Martinez watched in horror as systems burned out across the facility. We're losing them. Not today. Cooper's voice was strained as his consciousness merged with the quantum field, becoming one with the bridge itself. Human determination met Xylax precision, and together they held reality apart through sheer force of will. The matrix core passed through in a blaze of triumph and sacrifice. As the massive structure emerged safely on the Earth side of the bridge, Cooper collapsed. Bridge secured. Martinez announced. Matrix core quantum pattern stable. We did it. But Hayes was already running to Cooper's prone form, her medical sensors active. No, she whispered. No, you crazy bastard. You don't get to miss the victory party. Kate's quantum link hummed with one last message from the Xylax consciousness. He is not gone. In saving our patterns, he became part of them. 3 months after the Great Evacuation, Lieutenant Emma Hayes stood before the newly constructed Xylax settlement in the Arizona desert, her upgraded prosthetic arm gleaming in the sunset. The crystalline structures rose like transparent mountains, their facets refracting the light into rainbow patterns across the sand. The quantum signature's still there, she said softly to Martinez, who stood beside her. Every time I interface with their systems, I can feel him. Martinez nodded, her own neural interface humming with data. The Xylax said he's everywhere in their matrix now. Not just his consciousness pattern, but his stubbornness. She smiled. They've had to create new quantum states just to express human concepts like doing it anyway. And watch this. Kate Anderson emerged from the main structure, her quantum link interface now a permanent fixture behind her ear. They're ready, she announced. The Galactic Council representatives are already inside. Apparently, this is the first time in recorded history they've revised their species classification system. The central chamber of the settlement was a marvel of human and Xylax engineering. Crystalline surfaces merged seamlessly with quantum computers, creating an environment where consciousness could exist in both physical and digital states. Welcome, friends. The familiar resonance of the Xylax elder consciousness filled the room. We have gathered to witness a moment of transformation. The Nexus representative stepped forward, his earlier condescension replaced with something approaching respect. The Council has reviewed the events of the evacuation, as well as the unprecedented integration of human and Xylax quantum technologies. Our previous classification of Earth as a pre-emergent civilization was incorrect. No kidding, Hayes muttered, earning a subtle elbow from Martinez. More than incorrect, a new consciousness pattern emerged, one that carried familiar human undertones. They fundamentally misunderstood what makes a civilization advanced. Hayes' breath caught. The pattern was different, distributed throughout the matrix, but the essence was unmistakably Cooper. James, Martinez whispered. In a manner of speaking, the Cooper pattern rippled with amusement. Turns out when you merge with an ancient quantum matrix, you don't exactly stay human, but you don't exactly stop being human either. The Council recognizes Earth as a full member of the galactic community. The Nexus representative continued, seemingly unaware of the side conversation. Furthermore, that Xylax human quantum integration protocols are to be established as the new standard for consciousness transfer technology. They still don't quite get it, the Cooper pattern observed. They think this is about technology. But it wasn't our quantum computers or wormhole physics that saved our people, the elder Xylax consciousness added. It was human courage, human creativity, and human unwillingness to accept failure. Kate stepped forward, her quantum link resonating with both human and Xylax patterns. So what happens now? Now, the combined consciousness of Cooper and Xylax rippled with excitement. Now we show the galaxy what happens when human determination meets Xylax precision. We've already identified 3 other species facing extinction-level events. The Council says they're too far to help. Hayes grinned, her prosthetic hand automatically interfacing with the nearest crystal surface. Let me guess, we're going to help them anyway. Dr. Martinez has already drawn up preliminary plans for improved wormhole bridges, the Cooper pattern confirmed. The Meridian Collective has pledged their support. And the Council, well, they're learning that it's easier to adjust their rules than to stop humans from doing the impossible. And you? Hayes asked softly. Are you really still you? The quantum pattern shifted, and for a moment, they could all see Cooper as he had been, standing in the crystalline light. I'm more than I was, but I haven't forgotten who I am, or what humanity stands for. We're the ones who act when others hesitate. We're the ones who find solutions when others see only problems. We're the ones who save people. Martinez finished, wiping a tear from her eye. Even if we have to break physics to do it. Exactly. The image smiled. Now, who's ready to go break some more impossible things? As the sun set outside, human and Xylax consciousness patterns intertwined, planning their next impossible rescue. The crystalline spires pulsed with combined knowledge and purpose, a testament to what could happen when humanity's boundless determination met the impossible and refused to blink. In the depths of space, other civilizations facing extinction looked to the stars and hoped. And now, thanks to an impossible partnership between humans and living crystals, help was already on the way.